morning of my husband's funeral, I woke up to the smell of magnolias drifting through the bedroom window. It was late April in Savannah, and the world outside was impossibly beautiful, all Spanish moss and blooming azaleas and soft golden light. The kind of morning that makes you grateful to be alive. But my husband was not alive. Before we continue, I would be so grateful if you would subscribe to our channel, hit that like button, and let me know in the comments which state or country you're listening from. I always love knowing where my tea time family is tuning in from. Now settle in, grab your favorite cup of tea, and let Auntie D tell you a story about love, betrayal, and the unexpected places where healing can be found. Gerald Marcus Thompson had died 4 days earlier, collapsing in his office from a massive heart attack at the age of 61. One moment he was reviewing contracts, and the next he was gone. No warning, no goodbye, no chance to say any of the things that needed to be said. My name is Vivian Thompson, and I am 58 years old. I had been married to Gerald for 34 years, since I was 24 and he was 27, since we were both young enough to believe that love conquered all and old enough to know we were lying to ourselves. Ours was not a perfect marriage. No marriage is. But I thought it was a real one, built on shared history and mutual respect and the quiet comfort of knowing someone so well that words become unnecessary. I was wrong about so many things. That morning, my daughter Camille helped me into my black dress, the one I had bought 15 years ago for my mother's funeral and never thought I would wear again. She zipped up the back and smoothed the fabric over my shoulders, and when I looked at my reflection in the mirror, I saw a stranger. A woman with hollow eyes and gray-streaked hair and a face that had aged a decade in 4 days. "You look beautiful, Mama," Camille said, but her voice cracked on the last word. I reached back and squeezed her hand. "Thank you, baby." My son, Marcus Jr., was waiting downstairs with his wife and their 2 children. The house was full of people, relatives, and friends who had flown in from all over the country to pay their respects. They moved through the rooms in hushed clusters, speaking in the soft, careful tones people use around the grieving. They brought casseroles and flowers and cards with Bible verses, and they looked at me with that particular mixture of pity and discomfort that death always provokes. I accepted their condolences with the grace I had been taught since childhood. I thanked them for coming. I told them Gerald would have been so touched. I played the role of the dignified widow because that was what was expected of me, and because I didn't know what else to do. The funeral was at First African Baptist Church, where Gerald and I had been members for over 30 years. It was a grand old building, all red brick and white columns and stained glass windows that turned the sunlight into jewels. Gerald had served on the deacon board. He had taught Sunday school. He had been, by all appearances, a pillar of the community. By all appearances. The sanctuary was packed when we arrived. I walked down the center aisle on Marcus Jr.'s arm, my eyes fixed on the closed casket at the front of the church. It was mahogany with brass handles, draped in white roses. Gerald had always loved white roses. He said they reminded him of his mother's garden in Macon. I took my seat in the front pew, Camille on one side and Marcus Jr. on the other. Behind us sat Gerald's brother, his cousins, his colleagues from the law firm. The organ played softly, something mournful and familiar that I couldn't quite name. And then I saw her. She was sitting in the front pew on the opposite side of the aisle, directly across from me. A woman I had never seen before, dressed in a black designer suit with a small hat and veil. She was beautiful, strikingly so, with smooth dark skin and high cheekbones and the kind of elegant bearing that comes from either breeding or practice. She looked to be in her early 40s, maybe younger. She was crying. Not the polite, dabbing at the eyes crying of a distant acquaintance. She was weeping, her shoulders shaking, her gloved hands pressed to her mouth as if trying to hold in the sound of her grief. She cried like a woman whose heart was breaking. She cried like a widow. I felt Camille stiffen beside me. "Mama," she whispered, "who is that woman?" I didn't answer. I couldn't answer. Because in that moment, watching this stranger weep for my husband, I felt the first cold tendril of understanding wrap around my heart. I didn't know who she was. but I knew what she was. The service was beautiful. Pastor Williams spoke eloquently about Gerald's faith, his service to the community, his devotion to his family. Colleagues from the law firm shared stories about his brilliance and his mentorship. Old friends recalled his humor, his generosity, his loyalty. I sat through all of it in a daze, hearing the words but not absorbing them. My eyes kept drifting across the aisle to the woman in the black suit. She had composed herself somewhat, but tears still slipped down her cheeks, and she clutched a handkerchief in her fist like a lifeline. Who was she? How long had she known my husband? What had he told her about me, about our children, about the life we had built together? And the question that burned hottest of all, had he loved her? When it was my turn to speak, I walked to the podium on legs that felt like they belonged to someone else. I looked out at the sea of faces, all those people who had come to honor my husband, and I said the words I had prepared. I talked about meeting Gerald at a fraternity party at Morehouse. I talked about our wedding day, our children's births, the life we had shared. I talked about his dedication to his work, his pride in his family, his faith in God. I did not talk about the woman sitting in the front pew, crying as if her world had ended. After the service, we processed to the cemetery for the burial. The woman did not come. I looked for her among the crowd of mourners, but she had vanished, slipping away like a ghost. Part of me was relieved. Part of me was furious. And part of me, a part one didn't want to acknowledge, was curious. The burial was brief. Pastor Williams said a final prayer, and we each placed a white rose on the casket before it was lowered into the ground. I watched the mahogany box descend into the red Georgia clay, and I thought about all the things I would never know, all the questions I would never be able to ask. Goodbye, Gerald, I thought. Whoever you really were. The repast was held at our home, a sprawling Victorian in the historic district that Gerald and I had restored together over the course of a decade. The house was full of people again, eating and drinking and sharing memories. I moved through the rooms like a sleepwalker, accepting embraces and murmured condolences, counting the minutes until I could be alone. It was nearly 6 o'clock when the doorbell rang. Most of the guests had left by then, and I assumed it was a latecomer, someone who had missed the service and wanted to pay their respects. I opened the door, and there she was. The woman from the church. The woman in the black suit. She had removed her hat and veil, and I could see her face clearly now. She was even more beautiful up close, with large dark eyes and full lips and a small mole above her left eyebrow. She looked exhausted, her eyes red and swollen from crying. "Mrs. Thompson," she said. Her voice was low and musical, with a hint of an accent I couldn't place. "My name is Nadine Olivier. I need to speak with you." I should have slammed the door in her face. I should have screamed at her to leave, to never come near me or my family again. That would have been the reasonable response, the expected response, the response of a woman who had just buried her husband and discovered he had been unfaithful. But I didn't do any of those things. Instead, I stepped aside and said, "Come in." We sat in the parlor, the formal room where Gerald and I had entertained guests for 3 decades. Nadine perched on the edge of the settee, her hands folded in her lap, her eyes fixed on the floor. I sat across from her in Gerald's favorite armchair, the leather one he had insisted on buying despite my objections that it didn't match the decor. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The grandfather clock in the corner ticked loudly, marking the seconds of this impossible conversation. Finally, Nadine looked up. "I know you must hate me," she said. "I would hate me too, if I were you. But I couldn't leave without explaining. Without telling you the truth." "The truth," I repeated. The word tasted bitter in my mouth. "What truth would that be? That you were sleeping with my husband? That you sat in the front row of his funeral like you had a right to be there? That you wept for him like a widow while his actual widow sat across the aisle?" Nadine flinched at each accusation, but she didn't look away. "Yes," she said quietly. "All of that. And more." "More?" I laughed, a harsh, ugly sound. What more could there possibly be? She took a deep breath. Gerald and I were together for 12 years, Mrs. Thompson. We have a daughter. Her name is Solange. She's 11 years old. The world stopped. I heard the words, but they didn't make sense. They couldn't make sense. Gerald and I had been married for 34 years. We had 2 children, 3 grandchildren. We had built a life together, a family, a legacy. And now this woman was telling me that for 12 of those years, he had been building another life, another family, with her. You're lying, I whispered. Nadine shook her head slowly. I wish I were. I wish none of this were true. But it is. She reached into her purse and pulled out a photograph, which she placed on the coffee table between us. I didn't want to look. I didn't want to see. But my eyes were drawn to the image despite myself. It was a picture of a little girl, a beautiful child with Gerald's eyes and Gerald's smile. She was wearing a pink dress and holding a stuffed rabbit, and she was laughing at something outside the frame. She looked so much like Camille at that age that my heart clenched in my chest. Solange, Nadine said softly. She doesn't know yet. About Gerald. I didn't know how to tell her. I stared at the photograph, at this child who was my husband's daughter, my children's half-sister, my grandchildren's aunt. This child who had existed for 11 years without my knowledge, who had been loved and raised and provided for by the man I thought I knew. How? I finally managed. How did this happen? How did I not know? Nadine's eyes filled with tears again. Gerald was very careful. He traveled so much for work, it was easy for him to maintain both lives. He had an apartment in Atlanta, where Solange and I lived. He would come every other weekend, sometimes more. He was there for her birth, her first steps, her first day of school. He was a good father to her, Mrs. Thompson. Whatever else he was a good father. A good father. The words echoed in my mind. Gerald had been a good father to Marcus Jr. and Camille too. He had coached Little League and attended dance recitals and walked Camille down the aisle at her wedding. He had been present, involved, devoted. And apparently, he had been doing the same thing for another child, in another city, with another woman. Why are you telling me this? I asked. My voice sounded strange, distant, like it was coming from somewhere far away. Why now? Why not just disappear? I never would have known. Nadine wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Because Solange deserves to know her family. Her real family. And because... She paused, struggling to find the words. Because I loved him, Mrs. Thompson. I loved him with all my heart. And I know you loved him too. We both lost him. We're both grieving. And I thought maybe we could grieve together. I stared at her in disbelief. You thought we could grieve together? You and me? The wife and the mistress, holding hands and crying over the man who lied to us both? I know how it sounds. You don't know anything. I stood up abruptly, my hands shaking with rage. You don't know what it's like to find out that your entire marriage was a lie. You don't know what it's like to sit at your husband's funeral and realize that the woman crying across the aisle knew him in ways you never did. You don't know anything about me, about my life, about what I'm feeling right now. Nadine stood too, her face pale. You're right. I don't know. But I know what it's like to love a man who could never fully be yours. I know what it's like to wait for him, to wonder where he is, to pretend that half a life is enough. I know what it's like to raise a child alone, to explain why daddy can't come to the school play, to lie about why he's never there on Christmas morning. Her voice broke. I'm not asking for your forgiveness, Mrs. Thompson. I'm not asking for your friendship. I'm just asking you to consider that Solange is innocent in all of this. She didn't choose her father. She didn't choose this situation. And now she's lost the only parent she's ever really known, and she has siblings and grandparents and a whole family she's never met. I'm asking you to think about her. That's all. I wanted to scream at her. I wanted to throw her out of my house and never see her again. I wanted to pretend this conversation had never happened, that this woman and her daughter didn't exist, that my husband had been the man I always believed him to be. But I couldn't. Because when I looked at that photograph, at that little girl with Gerald's eyes, I saw my own children. I saw my grandchildren. I saw the family that Gerald and I had built together, the family that was now irrevocably changed by the truth of who he really was. "Get out," I said quietly. "Get out of my house." Nadine nodded, her face crumpling with grief. She picked up the photograph and slipped it back into her purse. "I'm staying at the Marriott on Bay Street," she said. "Room 412. If you change your mind, if you want to talk. I'll be there until Sunday." She walked to the door, then paused and looked back at me. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Thompson. I'm so sorry for all of it." And then she was gone, and I was alone in the parlor with the ticking clock and the leather armchair and the shattered remains of everything I thought I knew. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in the bed I had shared with Gerald for 34 years, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of our marriage in my mind. The business trips. So many business trips, sometimes 2 or 3 a month. He was a partner at one of the most prestigious law firms in Savannah, so it had never seemed unusual. Atlanta, Charlotte, New Orleans, sometimes as far as New York or Chicago. He always came back with gifts, with stories, with that particular exhausted satisfaction of a man who had worked hard and accomplished something important. Now I wondered how many of those trips had been real. How many times had he kissed me goodbye at the airport and then driven to Atlanta, to the apartment where Nadine and Solange were waiting? How many times had he held another woman in his arms while I slept alone in this bed, trusting him completely? I thought about the money too. Gerald had always handled our finances. He said it was easier that way, that I shouldn't have to worry about bills and investments and tax returns. I had been grateful for it, happy to let him take care of things while I focused on the children, the house, my volunteer work at the church. But now I wondered what else he had been taking care of. An apartment in Atlanta. A child to raise. A whole second life to fund. Where had the money come from? Our savings? Our retirement accounts? Had he been stealing from our family to support his other family? The questions multiplied in my mind, each one spawning a dozen more. I felt like I was drowning in them, pulled under by the weight of everything I didn't know. At some point, I must have fallen asleep, because I woke to sunlight streaming through the windows and Camille knocking on my door. "Mama? Are you awake?" Marcus and I made breakfast. I dragged myself out of bed and into the bathroom. The woman in the mirror looked even worse than she had the day before, with dark circles under her eyes and deep lines around her mouth. I splashed water on my face and tried to compose myself. I couldn't tell them. Not yet. Not until I understood more, until I had processed what Nadine had told me. My children had just lost their father. They didn't need to lose their image of him too. At least, that's what I told myself. The next few days passed in a blur of grief and confusion. I went through the motions of widowhood, accepting condolence calls and writing thank you notes and beginning the grim process of settling Gerald's estate. His law partners were helpful, guiding me through the paperwork and the legal requirements. His life insurance policy was substantial, enough to ensure I would be comfortable for the rest of my life. But every time I signed a document or reviewed a statement, I thought about Nadine and Solange. Were they provided for too? Had Gerald set up a trust, a separate account, something to take care of them after he was gone? Or had he assumed he would live forever, that he would never have to face the consequences of his double life? On Friday afternoon, 3 days after the funeral, I did something I had never done before. I went through Gerald's things. His home office was exactly as he had left it, papers stacked neatly on the desk, law books lining the shelves, framed photographs of our family on every surface. I sat in his chair and opened the drawers one by one, searching for, I didn't know what. Evidence. Answers. Something that would help me understand. I found it in the bottom drawer, hidden beneath a stack of old legal pads. A small leather box, the kind that might hold cufflinks or a watch. Inside was a key, a single brass key with a tag attached. The tag read Unit 7B, Peachtree Storage, Atlanta. A storage unit. In Atlanta. Where Nadine and Solange lived. I held the key in my hand for a long time, feeling its weight, its implications. This was a door I could choose not to open. I could put the key back in the box, close the drawer, and pretend I had never found it. I could live the rest of my life not knowing what was inside that storage unit, what other secrets Gerald had hidden away. But I knew I wouldn't do that. I couldn't. The not knowing would eat me alive. I picked up my phone and called Camille. I need to go to Atlanta, I said. Tomorrow. Can you drive me? There was a pause. Atlanta? Mama, why? What's in Atlanta? I'll explain when I get there. Please, baby. I need to do this. Another pause, longer this time. Okay, Mama. I'll pick you up at 8. The drive to Atlanta took about 4 hours. Camille tried to make conversation at first, asking about the estate, about my plans for the house, about whether I had thought about taking a trip somewhere to clear my head. I answered in monosyllables, my mind fixed on the key in my purse and what it might unlock. Finally, about halfway there, Camille pulled off the highway into a rest stop and turned to face me. Mama, what's going on? You've been acting strange ever since the funeral. And now this sudden trip to Atlanta, with no explanation? I'm worried about you. I looked at my daughter, at her kind, concerned face, so like her father's. She deserved the truth. They both did, she and Marcus Jr., but I couldn't tell her, not yet. Not until I knew the full extent of what Gerald had done. There's something I need to find out, I said carefully. Something about your father. I can't explain it yet, but I promise I will. Soon. I just need you to trust me. Camille studied my face for a long moment. Does this have something to do with that woman? The one at the funeral? My heart stopped. What woman? The one in the front row. The one who was crying like she knew Daddy. Really knew him. Camille's voice was steady, but I could see the fear in her eyes. I saw her, Mama. We all saw her. And then she came to the house, didn't she? After the repast. I saw her leaving. I closed my eyes. Of course they had noticed. My children were not fools. They had seen the same things I had seen, drawn the same conclusions. Yes, I said quietly. It has something to do with her. Camille was silent for a moment. Then she reached over and took my hand. Whatever it is, Mama, we'll face it together. Okay? You don't have to do this alone. I squeezed her hand, grateful beyond words for this child I had raised, this woman she had become. Okay, baby. Together. Peachtree Storage was a nondescript facility on the outskirts of Atlanta, rows of orange metal doors behind a chain-link fence. I showed my ID to the attendant and explained that I was the widow of the unit's owner, that I needed to access his belongings. He checked his records, made a phone call, and eventually handed me a visitor's pass. Unit 7B was on the second floor, at the end of a long corridor that smelled of dust and cardboard. I stood in front of the orange door for a long time, the key in my hand, my heart pounding. Do you want me to open it? Camille asked. I shook my head. No. I need to do this myself. I inserted the key, turned it, and lifted the door. The unit was small, maybe 10 by 10 feet, and it was full. Boxes stacked against the walls, furniture covered with sheets, filing cabinets and plastic bins and things I couldn't identify in the dim light. I found the switch and flipped it, flooding the space with harsh fluorescent light. And then I saw them. Photographs. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds, covering an entire wall. Gerald and Nadine. Gerald and Solange. The three of them together, at birthday parties and beach vacations and ordinary moments at home. Gerald holding Solange as a baby. Gerald teaching her to ride a bike. Gerald at her school play, beaming with pride. 12 years of memories, documented and preserved, hidden away in this storage unit like a secret treasure. I walked closer, my eyes moving from photo to photo. Gerald looked happy in these pictures, genuinely happy, in a way I realized I hadn't seen in years. There was a lightness to him, a joy that had been missing from our life together. He smiled differently here, laughed differently, held himself differently. He had been happy with them. Happier, maybe, than he had ever been with me. I felt Camille come up beside me. She was staring at the photographs, her face pale with shock. "Mama," she whispered. "Who is that little girl?" I took a deep breath. "Her name is Solange. She's your half-sister." We spent 3 hours in that storage unit, going through boxes and files and the accumulated evidence of Gerald's double life. There were legal documents, including a trust he had set up for Solange, funded with money I had never known existed. There were letters, dozens of them, written in Gerald's neat handwriting, expressing his love for Nadine and his devotion to their daughter. There were gifts, still in their boxes, things he had bought for them and never had the chance to give. And there were journals. 5 of them, leather-bound, filled with Gerald's private thoughts over the past 12 years. I didn't read them there, in that cold storage unit with my daughter beside me. I packed them into a box and took them with me, knowing that whatever they contained, I would need to face it alone. By the time we left, the sun was setting, painting the Atlanta skyline in shades of orange and pink. Camille drove us to a hotel, where we checked into a room and ordered room service and sat in silence, trying to process everything we had learned. "I don't understand," Camille finally said. "How could Daddy do this? How could he lie to us for so long?" I shook my head. "I don't know, baby. I've been asking myself the same question. Did you know? Did you ever suspect?" "No. Never. I thought we were happy. I thought he loved me." Camille moved closer and put her arm around me. "He did love you, Mama. I know he did. Whatever else he did, whatever lies he told, he loved you. I saw it every day. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe that the love I had felt for 34 years had been real, that it hadn't all been a performance, a cover for his true life with Nadine and Solange. But how could I know? How could I ever know what was real and what was pretend? "What are you going to do?" Camille asked. "About the woman? About Solange?" I thought about the photograph Nadine had shown me, the little girl with Gerald's eyes. I thought about the trust fund, the letters, the journals. I thought about the choice that lay before me, the choice between vengeance and grace. "I don't know yet," I said. "But I think I need to meet her. Solange. I need to see her for myself." Camille nodded slowly. "Do you want me to come with you?" "No, baby. This is something I need to do alone." The next morning, I called the Marriott on Bay Street and asked for room 412. Nadine answered on the second ring. "Mrs. Thompson?" Her voice was cautious, hopeful. "I'm in Atlanta," I said. "I found the storage unit. I saw the photographs, the documents, everything." There was a long silence. "I see. I want to meet Solange. Today, if possible. Another silence, longer this time. Are you sure? I don't want to. I don't want to upset her. She's been through so much already. I'm sure. I need to see her. I need to understand. Nadine gave me an address, an apartment complex in Buckhead. I wrote it down, thanked her, and hung up. Camille drove me there, but she stayed in the car. Call me if you need me, she said. I'll be right here. I walked into the building and took the elevator to the 4th floor. The hallway was quiet, carpeted in neutral beige, lined with identical doors. I found 4C and knocked. Nadine opened the door. She looked different than she had at the funeral, softer somehow, more vulnerable. She was wearing jeans and a simple blouse, her hair pulled back in a ponytail. Behind her, I could see a living room decorated in warm colors, filled with books and plants and the comfortable clutter of a life being lived. Thank you for coming, she said. Please, come in. I stepped inside, and there she was. Solange was sitting on the couch, a book open in her lap. She looked up when I entered, and I saw Gerald's eyes looking back at me, curious and wary and heartbreakingly young. Solange, Nadine said gently, this is Mrs. Thompson. She was married to your father. The girl's eyes widened. She looked at me, then at her mother, then back at me. You're his other family, she said. It wasn't a question. Yes, I said. I am. Solange closed her book and set it aside. She stood up, and I saw that she was tall for her age, with long legs and graceful hands. She walked toward me slowly, studying my face as if looking for something. He talked about you sometimes, she said. He said you were a good person. He said you made him want to be better. I felt tears prick my eyes. He talked about me? Sometimes. When he thought I wasn't listening. She paused, her yen face serious. I'm sorry he lied to you. I didn't know, not until I was older. I thought all daddies lived far away and only came on weekends. The innocence of it broke my heart. This child, this beautiful child, had grown up thinking that her father's absence was normal, that the scraps of time he gave her were all she deserved. It wasn't your fault, I said. None of this was your fault. Solange nodded, but I could see the doubt in her eyes. She had been carrying guilt that didn't belong to her, the same way I had been carrying anger that didn't know where to land. Would you like to sit down? Nadine asked. I made tea. I looked at her, this woman who had shared my husband for 12 years, who had borne his child and kept his secrets and loved him in ways I would never fully understand. I looked at Solange, this girl who was my children's sister, my grandchildren's aunt, a part of my family whether I wanted her to be or not. And I made my choice. Yes, I said. I would like that very much. We talked for hours that day. Nadine told me how she and Gerald had met at a legal conference in New Orleans, how their affair had started as a one-time thing and grown into something neither of them had planned. She told me about discovering she was pregnant, about Gerald's insistence that he would take care of them, about the life they had built in the shadows of his real life. I knew it was wrong, she said, her eyes filled with old pain. I knew I was hurting you, even though I'd never met you. But I loved him, and I wanted Solange to have a father, and I told myself that what you didn't know couldn't hurt you. But it did hurt me, I said quietly. It's hurting me now. I know. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I looked at Solange, who was sitting on the floor playing with a puzzle, pretending not to listen. What happens now? I asked. What do you want from me? Nadine shook her head. I don't want anything from you, Mrs. Thompson. I just wanted you to know the truth. And I wanted Solange to have the chance to know her family, if you're willing. But if you're not, if you can't, I understand. I have no right to ask anything of you. I thought about my children, about how they would react when they learned the full truth. I thought about my grandchildren, about explaining to them that they had an aunt they had never met. I thought about the church, the community, the friends who had known Gerald and me as a couple for 3 decades. And I thought about Gerald, about the man I had loved and the man I had never known. About the lies he had told and the truths he had hidden. About the choice he had made, every day for 12 years, to live 2 lives instead of 1. I could hate him for it. I could hate Nadine, hate Solange, hate everyone who had been part of this deception. I could spend the rest of my life nursing that hatred, letting it poison everything it touched. Or I could choose something different. I need time, I said finally. I need time to process all of this, to talk to my children, to figure out what I'm feeling. But I don't. I don't want to shut you out. Either of you. Nadine's eyes filled with tears. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you. I stood up to leave, and Solange looked up from her puzzle. Mrs. Thompson, she said. Yes. My daddy said you made the best peach cobbler in Georgia. He said nobody else's even came close. I felt a smile tug at my lips, the first real smile I had felt since Gerald died. He said that? Every time he came home from visiting you. He said it was the thing he missed most when he was away. I looked at this child, this innocent girl who had loved my husband as her father, who had no idea of the pain his choices had caused. And I felt something shift inside me, something hard and angry beginning to soften. Maybe someday, I said, I'll make it for you. Solange smiled, and it was Gerald's smile, bright and warm and full of hope. I'd like that, she said. The drive back to Savannah was quiet. Camille didn't ask questions, and I didn't offer explanations. I sat in the passenger seat, watching the Georgia landscape roll by, thinking about everything that had happened and everything that was still to come. That night, I gathered my children in the living room and told them the truth. All of it. The affair, the child, the storage unit, the meeting with Nadine and Solange. I watched their faces as they processed the information, saw the shock and anger and grief that I had felt myself. Marcus Jr. was furious. He paced the room, his hands clenched into fists, his voice rising with each word. How could he do this? How could he lie to us for so long? I thought I knew him. I thought he was a good man. He was a good man, I said quietly. And he was also a flawed man. Both things can be true. Camille was quieter, more thoughtful. What are you going to do, Mama? About Nadine and Solange? I took a deep breath. I'm going to get to know them. Slowly, carefully, on my own terms. Solange is your sister, whether we like it or not. She didn't choose this situation any more than we did. And I don't want her to grow up thinking she's not wanted, that she's a mistake, that she doesn't belong. Marcus Jr. stopped pacing. You're going to forgive them? Just like that? Not just like that. Forgiveness takes time. But I'm going to try. Because holding on to anger, holding on to hatred, it doesn't hurt them. It only hurts me. And I've been hurt enough. The months that followed were not easy. There were difficult conversations, painful revelations, moments when I wanted to give up and retreat into the comfortable isolation of my grief. But I didn't give up. I kept reaching out, kept building bridges, kept choosing grace over vengeance. Nadine and I will never be friends. There is too much history between us, too much pain. But we have found a way to be civil, to communicate about Solange, to put the child's needs above our own complicated feelings. Solange has met her siblings now. The first meeting was awkward, stilted, full of long silences and uncertain glances. But children are resilient, and Solange is hungry for family. She and Camille have found common ground in their love of books. She and Marcus Jr. are still circling each other warily, but I see signs of thawing. My grandchildren adore her. They don't understand the complicated history, the betrayal, and the lies. They only know that they have a new aunt who plays with them and reads them stories and brings them presents when she visits. To them, she is simply family. And maybe that's what she is. Maybe that's what she's always been. It has been a year since Gerald's funeral. A year since I sat in that church and watched a stranger weep for my husband. A year since my world fell apart and I had to decide what to build from the wreckage. I still live in the Victorian in the historic district. I still tend my garden and volunteer at the church and have Sunday dinner with my children and grandchildren. From the outside, my life looks much the same as it always did. But inside, everything has changed. I have learned that love is more complicated than I ever imagined. That a person can love two people at once, can build two lives, can be both faithful and faithless in the same breath. I have learned that betrayal doesn't erase the good times, that 34 years of marriage can be both real and false, both precious and poisoned. I have learned that forgiveness is not a single act but a daily choice. Some days it comes easily, and I feel at peace with everything that happened. Other days, the anger rises up and threatens to consume me, and I have to remind myself why I chose this path. And I have learned that family is not just blood. It is choice. It is showing up, day after day, even when it's hard. It is making room at the table for people you never expected, people who complicate your life and challenge your assumptions and force you to grow in ways you never anticipated. Solange calls me Miss Vivian now. Not Grandma, not Mrs. Thompson, but something in between, something that acknowledges our connection without defining it too precisely. I like that. It feels honest. Last month, she came to visit for the weekend. We made peach cobbler together, the recipe that Gerald had loved so much. She measured the sugar while I sliced the peaches, and we talked about school and friends and the book she was reading. It was ordinary, domestic, the kind of moment I had shared with my own children 1,000 times. When the cobbler came out of the oven, golden and bubbling, Solange took a bite and closed her eyes. "He was right," she said. "It's the best peach cobbler in Georgia." I smiled and served myself a slice. "Your daddy always did have good taste." We ate in comfortable silence, and I thought about Gerald, about the man he was and the man he pretended to be. I thought about all the lies he told and all the love he gave, about the impossible contradictions of his life. I will never fully understand him. I will never know why he made the choices he made, why he couldn't be honest with any of us, why he built two lives instead of committing fully to one. Those questions will follow me to my grave. But I have made my peace with not knowing. I have made my peace with the mystery of who Gerald really was. And I have made my peace with Solange, this child who carries his eyes and his smile and his capacity for love. She is not responsible for her father's sins. She is only responsible for her own life, her own choices, her own future. I intend to be part of that future. Not as a grandmother, not as a stepmother, but as something new, something we are inventing together. A relationship without a name, built on the ruins of betrayal, growing toward something that might, someday, look like grace. If you're listening to this story and you're facing your own impossible choice, your own moment of betrayal, your own decision between vengeance and grace, I want you to know something. There is no right answer. There is no perfect path. There is only the choice you make, day after day, to be the person you want to be. I chose grace. Not because I'm a saint, not because I'm better than anyone else, but because I didn't want to spend the rest of my life consumed by anger. I didn't want Gerald's lies to define me. I didn't want to become someone I didn't recognize. Your choice might be different. You might need to walk away, to protect yourself, to cut ties with everyone who hurt you. That's valid too. That's survival. But if you're looking for permission to forgive, if you're wondering whether it's possible to move forward without forgetting, if you're searching for a way to make peace with the unforgivable, I'm here to tell you, it can be done. It's not easy. It's not quick. It's not a straight line from pain to healing. But it can be done. And on the other side, there is something that looks like peace. Something that feels like freedom. Something that might, if you're lucky, grow into joy. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this story touched you, please hit that like button and leave a comment telling me which part resonated with you the most. Subscribe to Tea Time with Auntie D so you don't miss our next story. And remember, no matter what storms you're facing, there's always a way through. Sometimes the way through is anger. Sometimes it's grief. And sometimes, when you're ready, it's grace. Until next time, this is Auntie D, sending you love, strength, and a whole lot of tea. Did you enjoy the story? Which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you liked the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story. With love and respect.